Fracture isn't exactly my kind of game, but it will definitely get points for originality. Fracture. I don't know, this game seemed to be one of the more overhyped games of 2008. Now, it wasn't a bad game, it just wasn't particularly good either. I think what's happening here is game developers are noticing the trend today. The same trend that's been about for as long as video games existed. Cookie cutter games. You know, you make a Castle Wolfenstein, then a Doom pops up, then a Quake, then Unreal, and so on. A guy comes up with a good idea and everybody else follows. So LucasArts, like a few others, are trying to think out of the box and end up with games like this one, Fracture.
That's it. Now get back to those conveyors and keep moving into the facility.
Now, Fracture's claim to fame is its deformable terrain, the ability to change the shape and position of parts of your environment through the use of a device or weapon. Call it whatever you will, known as the Entrencher. This was a decent idea. Now, I know I'll make a few people mad when I say this, but it wasn't necessarily a good idea. Maybe good because, yeah, we need fresh concepts, but it did nothing for me. Still, we here at the lab try to be unbiased in all our reviews, so here are some of the things we honestly liked and disliked about Fracture. Now, even though I said it did nothing for me, the deformable terrains and destructible environments were all done well. It's just that at some point in the game, early points actually, these deformable terrains got annoying. I mean, instead of giving you a nimble and agile soldier to play with who can dive for cover, peek out from behind cover and roll and whatnot, LucasArts forces the player to provide cover through the use of the Entrencher. So at times when I'd like to just dive behind a rock and shoot from cover, I have to do this overly dramatic, sensational, earth-lifting thing, which can sometimes end up a distraction that gets you killed. I mean, it's fine to have the option to do this, but I still need to do certain things the old-fashioned way. I don't know, maybe I've played too much Gears. The Entrencher can be used for other things though, like lifting the earth so you can reach other points or crush the enemy, but it all feels to me like too much attention was applied to this gimmick and too little on the rest of the game, because even though the game isn't bad, it still isn't that good either. The voice acting is good, not okay, but good.
Brody, this is Colonel Lawrence. I'll be watching the feed from your ocular implant as you do recon.
I'll show no thumbs down for that. The overall audio is good, the explosions, gun blasts, and whatnot. The scores, however, though good, are more suited for the Star Wars George Lucas fans. There is that feel. The story is decent, forgettable, but decent. It revolves around global warming, which ultimately caused floods in America, which led to all kinds of crazy divisions among the people and civil war. Your main objective is stopping an invasion, so you're basically fighting over space and power. Nothing new here. Just throw in some nukes and oil and it'd be just another day on Earth.
It's official. The President has signed the Defense of Humanity Act, which designates substantial human genetic alteration a federal offense.
The graphics are good, not great, but what we have works. Some of the designs are a bit generic and bland, but the game still looks good. The physics are also interesting, not just destructible environments, but the way your character moves. When going uphill, you can see and feel a difference in his pace. Sometimes it's a bit too sluggish, but we respect the attempt at added realism. The controls are also decent. It took some getting used to, but I did it. I didn't like the fact that you couldn't go into a sprint from a crouch though. You had to stand first. That's nonsense. To move from one to the other should be seamless. Also, at other points in the game, sprinting didn't work when it should, like you had to be facing forward in order to sprint. Also, when you try to aim down the sight, well, not really down the sight, but when you try this, you can't move straight to a sprint. You have to revert to shooting from the hip, third person mode, and then run. Very awkward in a heated situation.
Got got the first strength off. It adds a little more power to your punch.
Melee combat was also a joke. You're a soldier, but you can only throw one lousy punch. Come on! The wide variety of weapons are cool though. Only problem is, and this is a huge one in our opinion, it takes too many shots to take the enemy down. Again, I go back to my preferences. Give me Call of Duty over Halo, where a bullet is a bullet, no matter what gun it comes from. But in games like these, only certain guns give you a one-shot kill, and it had better be a headshot. This whole force field thing just doesn't fly. Emptying an entire clip on the enemy just for him to take you out while reloading is unacceptable. I have no real problems with games like Halo, but just remember balance. Lack of balance leads to fatigue and frustration. And telling me it's the year 3010 and everybody's got a force field doesn't make me feel one bit better. I got some pretty slow loading times as well, not cool. And then there was the camera, not as bad as Ninja Gaiden 2's camera, but still annoying, especially when you add the whole earth shifting thing to the mix. Online play wasn't very impressive, mainly because of all the things I mentioned earlier. You had a decent variety of match types to choose from. It's just that, well, like I said, the game style didn't do much for me. In all its innovative splendor, it just never hooked me. So even though you got options other than just your regular death matches, the new stuff just wasn't better. I much prefer the good old run and gun death matches. Besides, apparently we're not the only ones who weren't that impressed. I could hardly find a match. So that's that. We have a game with a pretty original idea, with the absence though of certain basic features like a basic cover system. It also has cool weapons, a decent story, good graphics, long loading times, bad camera, poor melee system or lack thereof, and too many shots to take a guy out. Yeah, this game isn't bad, but it kinda missed the mark with too much emphasis on being original and too little on being a great game. The Lab gives Fracture a 6 out of 10. Stay with us, gamers. After the break, we visit the Area 51 Game Arcade and have a little one-on-one with Assassin.